Bonjour et bienvenue sur cette émission éducative French 101 again on Salvation TV. Je m'appelle Monsieur Napoléon Belinga Boli encore une fois avec vous sur cette émission éducative sur French 101. Okay, today I am Napoleon Belinga Boli again with you on this French program again French 101 on Salvation TV. C'est un programme très éducatif qui vous arrive depuis le Nigeria au Delta Nigeria. Restez connectés car la distance ne resterait pas une barrière à vos bénédictions sur cette émission éducative. Today, we are going to talk about some interesting topics again that is going to be captivating. And so, take your writing materials out there, call your learning partners, your friends, your bien-aimés, that's your loved ones, then sit down again as you listen to French 101 that is hitting your screen again this afternoon. Okay, like I said some time ago, you have learned our numbers. That I told you that in the whole wide world, numbers are very important, and as you learn numbers, numbers can function in every discipline. For instance, you're a pastor. You want to quote the Bible, you must use your numbers. If you are a businessman, a businesswoman, you want to transact business, you must use your numbers. Okay? Numbers everywhere. And so today, we're going to use the numbers we have learned some time ago in this program to function into this émission éducative. And so today, what we have is titled L'étude biblique. And before we go, do not forget that there are some expressions, there are some words that I told you. I remind you again this time. If I hear me say veut dire, means. Il y a, meaning there are. And those words, you make sure you keep reminding yourself of those words because I'll be using them off and on. Okay? So we go. But before we go, can you repeat after me? Notre Père, qui est aux cieux, que ton nom soit sanctifié, que ton règne vienne, que ta volonté soit faite sur la terre comme au ciel. Donne-nous aujourd'hui notre pain de ce jour. Pardonne-nous nos offenses, comme nous aussi nous pardonnons à ceux qui nous ont offensés. Ne nous induis pas à la tentation, mais délivre-nous du mal, car c'est à toi qu'appartiennent le règne, la puissance et la gloire des siècles et des siècles. Amen. Like I told you, that was our Lord's Prayer in French. Somebody will tell me, take it again. Please, I'll take it again, but not in this class, again, maybe at the end of the program. However, l'étude biblique, our today's topic is titled L'étude biblique. And what is étude biblique? I'm sure you are there with the writing materials to take down notes where necessary. And so l'étude biblique, by my definition, means the biblical studies. As a pastor, if you are sent to an international area that is out of Nigeria as a country, you go to a Francophone environment, you go to a French-speaking environment, and you need to quote the Bible, or somebody is to quote the Bible, and you need to understand as to open what the man is quoting. What do you do? Is what we want to teach you today. And so, the topic to that effect is l'étude biblique. L'étude biblique. What do I say? L'étude biblique. Okay, that's good. So, l'étude biblique veut dire the biblical studies. Biblical studies en anglais. L'étude biblique veut dire the biblical studies en anglais. Alors, pour bien apprendre cette leçon, il y a des termes. So for us to be able to learn this lesson very well, there are some terms and terminologies that we need to learn. Some expression, there's expression. Des mots, that is to say, there are some words. And after those words, you have some numbers talking about les nombres cardinaux that you've learned so far, and les nombres ordinaux that you've learned so far. Those numbers, like the cardinal numbers and the ordinal numbers, are going to put together to help us quote the Bible in French. Okay. Despite that, there are some words that are very, very, very obligatory. They are very, very compulsory words that you need to learn while you are to quote the Bible. Those words are words like chapitre. I told you some time ago in French, For you to be able to pronounce a good, get a good pronunciation in French, you must have to manipulate your R very well. And we told you from the alphabet, when we're learning our alphabet, we said our R in French is R. Our R is R. Is what? Is R. And so the first word I have in my list for you to learn this today, on this program, on this lesson, is chapitre. Let me say chapitre. 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 Of course, without anybody telling you, or for those of us who are French people, the word chapitre in English is chapter. Is what? Chapter. The word chapitre in English is chapter. Okay? The next word that is very obligatory when we come to the learning of this topic that is under discussion is verset. Verset. Let me say verset. Verset. And what is verset? Verset, to you, the French speakers, the word verset in English is verse. For you that has the English speaking people, the word verse in French is verset. Because I know that some people are looking at this program, watching this program from outside the country. Of course, we are in Nigeria here, trying to broadcast this program, reaching you out there. Some of you that are in the Francophone setting, in the Francophone environment, our verse, the word verse in French is verset. So for those of us who are Anglophone people, the word verset in English is verse. And there's some obligatory words, some compulsory words that you must learn for you to be able to quote the Bible in French. Of course, the moment you say Genesis, there's a chapter. A chapter, you have to play with verse. And so that's the reason why these words are very, very important for you to learn. And so these two words are very, very important and obligatory. Let me just say chapitre. 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 Okay. Verset. 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 Okay. That is chapter and verse. Remember, our topic today is l'étude biblique. And I told us that l'étude biblique has to do with the biblical study. How to quote the Bible in French. As a French student, as a man belonging to the French community, or a man that belongs to the French 101 community, you must learn how to quote the Bible in French. Okay. And so, the word chapitre and the word verset, very obligatory. Okay. So, the next thing is numbers. Of course, you learned our numbers before. We're talking about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and ainsi de suite. So on and so forth. Please, you know, when you want to quote the Bible, these numbers are coming to play again. And these are the cardinal numbers. I take them again briefly. 1, we're going to be talking about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ainsi de suite. So on and so forth. Talking about the 6, the 7, and all that. Okay. Apart from that, we're going to also consider the number I call the nombre ordinal, talking about the ordinal numbers, not the ordinary, but the ordinal. Ordinal numbers are those numbers that we learned some time ago in our previous episode, talking about the first, of course, which means the premier, deuxième, troisième, quatrième, cinquième, sixième, ainsi de suite, so on and so forth. Those numbers are talking about the first, the second, and the third, fourth, and fifth, so on and so forth. Those numbers are going to play a very vital role in this lesson. And so, the next thing we need to understand here is what I call les livres de la Bible. We're really going into the body of the study we have today. Now, les livres de la Bible. Les livres de la Bible. When we talk about les livres de la Bible, what are we talking about? Les livres means the books. De la Bible means of the Bible. Les livres de la Bible means the books of the Bible. The books of the Bible in French means les livres de la Bible. Les livres de la Bible. Remember, our topic today is l'étude biblique. What is our topic there? L'étude biblique. L'étude biblique is our topic. And for us to talk about l'étude biblique, or the biblical studies, meaning that what we're teaching how to quote the Bible in French. Okay, we've talked about the word chapitre, we've talked about verset, we've talked about our numbers ranging from, of course, you've learned them before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The numbers that you have learned before, we're going to play them again. We're going to take them again into this lesson. And again, you talked about les ordinaux, les nombres ordinaux, talking about the premier, le deuxième, troisième, quatrième, cinquième, the first, the second, third, fourth, fifth, and all that. Those numbers are going to come into play again. Then those numbers are going to join together with what I call les livres de la Bible. And what's les livres de la Bible? I tell you again, les livres de la Bible means the books of the Bible. Les livres means the books. De la Bible means of the Bible. And what are these books of the Bible? In French, let me hear you say Genèse. 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 Please. Because of the fact that some people are learning French for the first time, we try to see that we give them a pronunciation that they will be able to pronounce. We are going to give them some pronunciation from the layman, because looking at the fact that French is subdivided into français standard, français familial, and français soutenu. Okay? We have French that is called the standard French, French that is called the soutenu French, French that is called the familiar French. Because of the fact that we're looking at these three categories of French, we want to give you a particular pattern of pronunciation of these words in French. Of course, the moment you're able to pronounce these words, the way they are pronounced, the way they are written down, in the middle row of what you are watching right now on your screen, you will pronounce the exact, although that is not the way you write them. Of course, this is an initiative. We just initiate this for you to be able to pronounce the word in French. Of course, if as we go down, as with time, we're going to give you how to pronounce these words phonetically, looking at transcription using the API, the Alphabet Phonetic International. But we're not going that way, because we are looking at an entire society that is, most of them are learning French for the first time. And so I'm having here Genèse. Genèse, if I were you, I would pronounce Genèse as G-E-N-E-S. Genèse. The middle is the pronunciation. Though that is not the way it's written, but that is the way. The moment you are able to pronounce that middle row, you are pronounced what is known as Genesis. Of course, in French, Genèse. Let me say Genèse. Genèse veut dire what? What is the meaning of Genèse? Of course, without somebody telling you, you know that Genèse is a Genesis. Genesis. Of course, don't forget that you have chapitre to play with, you have verset to play with. We're going somewhere. All right. Genèse in English is Genesis. Genesis. Okay. The next book of the Bible is Exodus. Of course, is pronounced in French, Exode. It's pronounced Exode. Let me hear you say again. Exode. Let me hear you again. Exode. The word exode is pronounced just at the way it is at the middle there. Exode. And that means Exodus. The next book there is Levitique. 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 And of course, that is given to you as Levitic. And that's how you pronounce it. The moment you, as an Anglophone, you're able to pronounce the middle row of what I just tried to give you there, you have been able to pronounce Leviticus in French, which is Levitique. What is that pronounced? How is that pronounced? Levitique. Levitique. And the next thing there is nombre. Nombre is pronounced the way it is there right on at the middle row, and that is numbers. Numbers. Okay, the next thing is Deuteronome. 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 Deuteronome is Deuteronomy. Of course, you can follow up the pronunciation there. Deuteronome. And that is how that is pronounced. And the next book of the Bible is Je suis. Je suis, je suis, je suis. And that is Joshua. Okay? That is Joshua. Please take note, because we're going to use them again. We're going to use them. You are going to answer some questions for me. And the questions you're going to answer for me will make you to speak and will make you, of course, to quote the Bible in French using the French language. So be very attentive. If you lost out from what I'm doing now, you will lose out when I come to the time that you speak French for me out there. And so the next book there is Juge. Let me say Juge. Juge. The next book is a Juge. And of course, without asking much question, you know that is the book of Judges. The next 10 or the next book there on my list is Ruth. The book of Ruth. Of course, Ruth in French is the same pronunciation with the English version, so you don't have much problem there. All right. Now, we want to, from this point now, start to use our numbers. Of course, the first thing you have there with number is 1 Samuel. And what is first? You can now go back to your numbers. First in French is what? Premier. Am I right? Of course, some people in some interpretation, they will say 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel. That's the meaning. 1 Samuel. Of course, it's correct. You either say 1 Samuel or you say Premier Samuel. You either say 1 Samuel or you say 1 Samuel. Of course, these two pronunciations are correct. These two terms are correct. Of course, no perfect translation or no perfect translator, of course. And so you say 1 Samuel or Premier Samuel. They are still the same thing. You're talking about the same thing. And that means what? 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel. So what is 1 Samuel in French? Premier Samuel or 1 Samuel. That is one of the books. Of course, we've started using our ordinal numbers. Of course. The next thing there is 2 Samuel. If you don't say 2 Samuel, what will you say there? Deuxième Samuel. If you don't say 2 Samuel, you're going to say what? Deuxième Samuel. Deuxième Samuel. Deuxième Samuel. And that means what? 2 Samuel. The next thing again is un roi. Of course, look at the pronunciation at the middle there, please. The pronunciation of this word is R-W-A. Let me say roi. 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 Okay? That is first king. And like I told you, it's either you say un roi or you say premier roi. Un roi or premier roi. This means first king. The word roi is king. Roi means a king. Of course, the next thing is deux rois. Deux rois is deuxième roi. The same thing. It's either you say deux rois or you say deuxième roi. And of course, this means second kings. Okay? Remember, do not always forget that our topic and where we are coming from is l'étude biblique. What is our topic today? L'étude biblique. L'étude biblique means the biblical studies. Of course, these things I've mentioned so far, those things are going to use to make your quoting of the Bible. Okay? Les livres de la Bible. Do not forget. So what's the meaning of les livres de la Bible? Les livres de la Bible means what? The books of the Bible. That's a wonderful one. Okay. Do not forget that la Bible est divisée à 2 testaments ou catégories. And you know what? The Bible is divided into how many categories? 2 categories, 2 testaments. 2 testaments means what? 2 testaments. Okay? Or category. And these ones are what? L'Ancien Testament et le Nouveau Testament. The Old Testament and the New Testament. All right. This is what is so far known as l'étude biblique. However, now, let's take example of these things. Now, if I say le livre de Genèse, le livre de Genèse, chapitre 2, verset 6. Le livre de Genèse, chapitre 2, verset 6. Please, think about it. Le livre de Genèse, chapitre 6, or chapitre 2, verset 6. Chapitre 2, verset 6. Chapitre 2, verset 6. I'll come back. See you. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Napoléon with you on this émission. Merci. Ciao.
Bonjour.
Here is a chance to learn French language on French 101. A, B, 3, 2, E. The R in French is known as the R, and the R can appear in words like règle, règle. Our T in French is thé. French 101, a TV programme to help you understand and speak French language. Plus de 220 millions de personnes dans le monde entier parlent le français et nous voulons que vous les rejoigniez. French 101. Wow, you're welcome. Napoléon again avec vous sur cette émission éducative sur French 101, of course. Alors, we are talking about what I titled, like I told you, l'étude biblique. And I give you something to do. And that thing I give you to do is le livre de Genèse, chapitre 2, verset 6. I hope somebody must have sorted out the solution to that. Le livre de Genèse, chapitre 2, verset 6. What's the meaning? En anglais, what's the meaning of that in anglais? Have you sought for the answer to that? I'm sure somebody will be able to say the word Genèse means Genesis. The word chapitre means chapter. The word deux means deux. Of course, two. The word verset means verse. And the word six is just the six that you have in English. And it's as simple as that. And so the answer is the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 6. That's your answer. That was a wonderful one. I know somebody got it there and it is very, very correct. Oh, Jesus Igwe. I wish I know how to sing to say, tu es tout puissant. Of course. If I sing, you say, Igwe. I'll sing my part and you say, Igwe. Of course. If I say, whatever I sing, I'll leave me to sing it. But you are going to say what? Igwe. Okay, are you ready? All right, let's go. Tu es tout puissant, tu es redoutable, tu es au-dessous des rois. Igwe, Igwe. I take it again. Tu es tout puissant, tu es redoutable, tu es au-dessus des rois. Igwe, Igwe. Let's go original. Original. Of course. Let's come back again to what we have here. So we said our answer to that question is what? 2 verse 6. Genesis chapter what? 2 verse 6. That is the answer. Of course, if you go to the next question there, our next question is, of course, this time you are going to speak the French for me. I am going to do the English version, and you are going to do the French version for me. Of course, I'm going to atomize that from what I call the option 1, 2, 3, 4, option A, B, C, D. Of course, you're going to pick the correct answer there, and you're going to speak the French by yourself right there in your parlor. Of course, our number 2 question here that I want to give to us here is Exodus chapter 3, verse 10. Exodus chapter 3, verse 10. Can you speak the French? I want you to code that in French now. Exodus chapter. You've known what is Exodus before. You've known what is chapter before. You've known what is 3 before. You've known what is verse before. And of course, 10, you've learned it before. And so, you can put these expressions and these words together to begin to form your expression, your sentences. Of course, let me see what you do there. Now, somebody's gotten it. Of course, my answer, if you've gotten it, I'll come back to it. My answer there is 3 verse 10. 3 verse 10 is option numéro C. Option number C is your answer. And what is that expression there? Can we go together? Exode, chapitre 3, verset 10. Clap for yourself. You're a wonderful person there. You are very wonderful. Very, very wonderful. So that French you're going to speak is, or interpretation you're going to do or make for us, construct for us is Exodus chapter 3, verse 10. Of course, in French is Exode chapitre 3, verset 10. Exode chapitre 3, verset 10. And that is your answer. I see we have to test run you again with another question there. And the next question is also in English again. And you are going to tell me the expression that will correspond to what I'll say in English as a man or as a student of this French 101 community. Of course, if I tell you, of course, 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 2, veut dire dash. 1 King chapter 12, verse 2, what's the meaning? In English, how do you say 1 King chapter 12, verse 2? 12, verse 2. 12, verse 2. What do you say? How do you speak it? How do you speak it? Is somebody looking at me there, trying to crack brain to get, of course, it's very easy because you learned your number. What is 12 in French? What is 2 in French? And what is 1 King in French? Put all these expressions and words together, you are going to get what it is in French. I want to speak that language for me. I know somebody must have finished doing it. Are you done there? Are you done there? I'm also doing mine here. 1 King chapter 12, verse 2 in French is premier. Oh, let me wait for you. Premier roi, chapitre 12, verset 2. That's your answer. And that answer is the option numéro C. Option number C is your answer. Premier roi, chapitre 12, verset 2. Let me hear you again. Premier roi, chapitre 12, verset 2. And that is your answer. Meaning, 1 King chapter 12, verse 2. Of course, if you want to say 1 King chapter 12, verse 2, what is the expression you're going to apply here? The language you're going to speak in French is Premier Roi, chapitre 12, verset 2.